Lynn once again found himself face to face with one of his most formidable past enemies, the blazing bull demon king, who now loomed before him. The demon was larger, broader, and more intimidating than ever, muscles rippling beneath blazing, fiery skin, horns curling menacingly atop his head, and flames dancing wildly around his formidable frame. Yet, as Lynn meticulously studied the demon and sensed its energy signature, a sharp insight pierced his mind. He immediately recognized that this was not the true, original blazing bull demon king. Just like last time, what stood before him was merely an avatar, an imitation, a projection created by the demon to serve its purpose. Despite the avatar's increased strength, it lacked the divine aura, the pure, overwhelming energy that only the genuine form possessed. That divine presence, Lynn knew, was the true mark of the Demon King's real power. Smirking faintly, Lynn taunted him, asking if the demon's power of sacrifice was enough to grant him full strength, or if perhaps the rules of the dungeon were restraining him, since no one could enter illegally and grant him access to his true form. Lynn's perception was clear. This copy's body was significantly more fragile than the original, a mere shell that could be shattered with the right strike. The Demon King was taken aback by Lynn's sharp intuition, his eyes narrowing in surprise. He wondered how a mere human, an outsider, could be so perceptive, so insightful, to recognize the avatar for what it was. Still, he dismissed it with a sneer, confident that Lynn's deduction was irrelevant. "It doesn't matter," he growled. "You're going to be defeated anyway. Even if this form only wields 1/10 of my true strength, it's more than enough to crush a human like you without breaking a sweat." His voice was filled with arrogance and menace, confident in his inevitable victory. But Lynn only smiled calmly, undeterred. He countered smoothly. "Do you really think I'll fall so easily? You truly believe I'm the only one who's powered up?" His words were a challenge, a declaration that he was far from finished growing stronger. As the scene shifted, the intense battle between Lynn and the Demon King officially erupted. At first, the Demon King made no direct move to attack. Instead, he summoned a pack of filthy Highland wolves, level 46 beasts, along with mutated Highland wolves of level 52. These creatures, dungeon monsters through and through, were meant to overwhelm Lynn with their numbers and ferocity. He assumed that brute force, combined with the chaos of the wolves, would be enough to bring the human down. But Lynn's expression remained composed, an unwavering smile of confidence. He coolly told the blazing demon that there was no way he could defeat him with just a handful of weak wolves. The demon had chosen the wrong path at the wrong time, especially when Lynn was in such a good mood. The demon's plan was flawed, and Lynn's irritation grew. Seeing that the demon was summoning so many monsters, Lynn warned him not to get overconfident. Still, the demon wasn't ready to back down. With a sudden movement, he spread his flaming wings wide, preparing to take flight and create some distance between himself and Lynn. His goal was clear: to escape, to leave Lynn behind, and then unleash destruction from above. As he soared through the air, he began to channel his power, unleashing his ultimate attack. A massive, ominous eye materialized in the sky, ominously tracking Lynn. From it, multiple powerful projectiles shot forth, each one aimed to land and inflict serious damage. Some of the projectiles struck Lynn, but his skeletal armor responded instantly, overwhelmingly tough and resilient. The armor enveloped him completely, shielding his body from the barrage of laser-like blasts. Lynn darted through the air at incredible speeds, slicing through the sky, dodging and weaving between the deadly attacks. He knew that to defeat the blazing Demon King, he would need to rely on his corpse explosion technique, especially in combination with his skeletal warriors. But to execute that plan, he needed a perfect opportunity, a decisive moment when he could strike a blow that the demon couldn't dodge or react to. Lynn's strategy was to summon all his skeletal warriors to draw out and absorb the incoming monsters the Demon King would send. With enough enemies distracted or weakened, he could gather the ammunition needed for his signature corpse explosion. As he prepared to deploy this plan, he kept himself hidden, making sure the demon remained unaware of his true intentions. Midair, Lynn began summoning his undead army, calling forth the strongest corpses he had, each one a tool for destruction. Among his summons was the mighty soul-devouring insect king. It had been a long time since his last summon, but the creature still radiated an aura of menace and dread. The scene shifted again, revealing the fierce battle between the soul-devouring insect king and the blazing bull demon king. The two titanic beings clashed with ferocity. Initially, the demon king dismissed the insect as a mere bug, an insignificant pest unworthy of his attention. Without hesitation, he seized the insect and began burning it with his overwhelming fiery power. In moments, the insect was reduced to ash, a charred husk discarded in the dust. Lynn watched in shock. He had hoped the insect king would buy him more precious time, serving as a distraction or a shield. Though it wasn't among his most powerful summons, he had not anticipated it would fall so swiftly. Desperate, he considered summoning the undead Great Earth Centipede, larger, tougher, and capable of delaying the Demon King for a crucial while. But time was running out. He trusted in his judgment and summoned the Great Centipede, which now stood before the Demon King, nearly matching his height and bulk. The Demon King, frustrated by Lynn's relentless summoning, roared in annoyance. His eyes gleamed with irritation as he realized that Lynn was playing a clever game, using his undead army as a distraction and leverage. The demon prepared himself for the next assault. The second round of combat began as the Demon King engaged the Great Earth Centipede. The two monstrous entities exchanged blows, powerful punches from the Demon King, while the centipede retaliated with sweeping strikes of its tail. For a time, they fought evenly, each testing the other's strength. However, the Demon King's power proved overwhelming. Cracks appeared on the tough, armored shell of the centipede, and after a brutal exchange, it was finally overwhelmed and shattered into fragments. With that victory, the Demon King turned his gaze back toward Lynn, who was still hovering in the air, ready for the next move. Suddenly, a massive eye appeared again in the sky, launching a barrage of projectiles toward the demon. As the smoke and dust settled, Lynn looked ahead, expecting that perhaps the demon had finally been defeated. But to his horror, the demon was right behind him, still unyielding, still fighting, and unwilling to surrender. His confidence was shaken, and he realized that his time was rapidly running out. His wings, which had been aiding his evasive maneuvers, began to vanish, dissipating into the air. The Demon King's laughter echoed cruelly, mocking Lynn. "Can't fight anymore? Can't fly? How pathetic," he sneered. "You've managed to summon undead and fly at your level. Impressive. But it only fuels my rage. This time, I will crush you completely." His eyes gleamed with deadly intent. He knew that the longer Lynn remained alive, the more dangerous he would become, because Lynn's strength was steadily increasing with each battle. The demon resolved to eliminate him before he could grow even more formidable. In the chaos of the battlefield, Lynn was struck twice, caught off guard by the Demon King's overwhelming power. Even though he had anticipated the demon's terrifying strength, he hadn't expected both the soul-devouring Insect King and the Great Earth Centipede to be defeated so quickly. His time was running out, and he couldn't afford to delay any longer. Just as he prepared to retreat and gain some distance, he turned only to face a colossal fist hurtling toward him, a fist the size of a mountain, aimed to crush him beneath its weight. Lynn looked like a helpless bug, an insignificant speck about to be annihilated. Despite summoning his skeletal armor, it was too late. The punch connected with devastating force, sending him hurtling down to the earth in a cloud of dust and debris. His body hit the ground hard, injured, coughing blood, and completely at a disadvantage. The Demon King descended slowly, a cruel smile on his face, commanding Lynn to stop resisting and accept his death. With a final, devastating barrage of energy balls, each one pulsing with destructive power, he believed this was the end for Lynn. But then, out of the thick smoke, glowing red chains suddenly erupted, binding the Demon King in place. Lynn had activated his slow curse technique, and the moment the chains latched onto him, the demon's eyes widened in disbelief. He felt his body grow heavy, sluggish, and almost ancient, moving with the feebleness of an old man. Now, it was Lynn's turn to strike. Gathering his remaining strength, he unleashed his Soul Blaze technique, enveloping the Demon King in torment, both physically and mentally. The demon roared in fury, vowing to tear Lynn apart and devour him alive. But trapped by the slow curse, the Demon King was desperate. He summoned multiple protective eyes, magical orbs of vision, and commanded them to fire concentrated lasers at Lynn in a last-ditch effort to kill him once and for all. And that was it for this chapter. Please like and comment. Your comments help boost my videos. Commenting even an emoji would do. Thanks.